Very good morning, friend. I am Dr. Jitendra Joshi, the President of Global India Business Forum, which is one of the leading international business chamber in the world now. And we are here at the Brazil Embassy in Delhi. And we are fortunate that with us today a very senior diplomat and ambassador of Brazil in India. He is also having the responsibility of Bhutan.
Yes.
And I know, so you are very busy, but thanks for your time. Brazil is very, very beautiful country, friends, and it's South America's biggest country. It's the 5th largest country size-wise area globally. And there are few facts of Brazil before starting this interaction. Brazil is also known for the football, soccer. The Brazil team has 5 winning record. 5 times they win the World Cup. And it's really great that they are the soccer playing country and people are very nice. The total population is around 22 million population and there are 400 plus airports, what we heard. This is very important. Even the rainforest, 60% of the Amazon rainforest is in Brazil. So there are many things we are going to discuss today. But before that, so I'm thankful to you and Excellency. I want you to introduce yourself to our audience and many businessmen, those who will look you and want to listen and hear from you.
Okay. So good morning. I'm Kenneth Haczynski, the Nobrega, Ambassador of Brazil to India and Bhutan.
Okay. So you are how many years experience in this particular diplomatic?
I've been in the diplomatic career for 30 years now.
Okay, so before coming to India?
Before coming to India, I was Secretary of State for Middle East, Europe and Africa in Foreign Affairs. Before that, I was Minister Counselor in our embassy in Washington. And then before that, I was Director for BRICS and IPSA in Foreign Affairs. Then earlier in my career, I was posted in Berlin. Before that, in Geneva, in Warsaw.
So it's a rich experience actually, and for the country like Brazil, where India-Brazil relationships are definitely on the very top-class relationship, and we are moving ahead with a lot of expectations from the world, because both the countries, India and Brazil, they are doing so well. And the future of Brazil and India definitely more depend on the bilateral relationship. And I think the bilateral relationship is very strong for last few years. Do you want to throw some light about the bilateral relationship, sir?
Yes, first I think we should recall that Brazil and India commemorated 75 years of bilateral relations in 2023. It's a solid relation based on traditional coordination in multilateral fora, international fora. And throughout these years, our relation became a relation much grounded in mutual trust. And this, more recently, our bilateral economic relations have been booming. Just to give you one figure, in the last 14 months, we received 47 business missions from Brazil, and more than 30 missions from India went to Brazil. I don't know the correct figure when it comes from India to Brazil, but we can, I think, talk about 76 plus, 77 plus missions, business missions exchanged between the two countries. So I think this says a lot, right?
True, very true, because if we say in the last few months, there are 75 plus business delegations from
14 months.
14 months.
Yeah, 1/4.
So this is this figure itself speaks that India and Brazil, the political relationship is definitely growing. At the same time, business relationship, definitely businessmen from both the end keen to do business with each other. And friends, if we talk about the figures, this around 16 to 17 billion dollar business India, Brazil together do in a year. And this figure, it's a very big figure, because from India, it goes around exports of around $10 billion in a year. And from Brazil to India, it's around 6.5 to 7.
It depends on the year, but it's more or less there.
Yeah. So
yes. Well, I think that at some point in time, the eventual results of so many missions of people knowing each other and looking for complementarities, business opportunities. I think this will really be reflected in our trade balance. But let me tell you something. It's also already being reflected in our investment exchange balance. For example, this year, two big Brazilian companies entered India, which is Tramontina, a large company of cutlery, and another Paquin, which opened a joint production unit of plastic containers, 1 ton plastic containers, big plastic containers, in a joint venture with an Indian company in Gujarat. So these are two examples. But before that, two companies of Brazil in the area of defense, Taurus and CBC, they are among the largest in the world in production of light arms. They opened also production units in India. So we are seeing things happening concretely. And from India to Brazil, TCS will open a new production unit in the state of Paraná, where in Londrina more specifically. We have also plans of Mahindra of expanding their operations there. Bajaj is already opened a production unit in our free trade zone in northern Brazil. I think Hero Motocorps too. You are seeing, I wouldn't say every day, but we have been seeing constantly new investment ventures being announced and concretized. So it's very exciting times for me here to be ambassador here.
Definitely, sir. Because as Indian, a lot of big giant companies are nowadays keen, because as India is now the 5th largest economy and soon become the 3rd largest, maybe by 2026. And our government is also aggressively pushing not just the big giant companies, but the SME sector also, the small and medium sector businessmen. And as figures says, around 35 to 40,000 Indian communities already staying in Brazil. And many more to come, because India as a young country, and even the Brazil as a youngster, there are so many youngsters, and these young countries getting together, definitely doing more and more business. So talking about the specific new upcoming business trends of Indians who want to come there as a startups, because India is also known as a startup hub. Because in the last 8 to 10 years with our new government, after Mr. Modi has took over, the Indian startup has in huge numbers, and they are keen to not just to do business in India, but the many part of the world. I think Brazil is definitely one of the prominent country in the Latin America, and they want to do business with Brazil and Brazilian youngsters. So what do you suggest for them, sir?
Well, let me say that São Paulo is a large venture capital hub and also an innovation hub. I think the magazine The Economist has concretely mentioned that in one article. We also have a science, technology, innovation policy, and between India and Brazil, we have been organizing events where startups get together, young people get together in order to find complementarities. For example, in the field of agriculture, there is a clear complementarity between our Brazil and India when it comes to innovation, because we need to develop more and more a resilient agriculture to extreme weather events, and then it involves startups regarding development of resilient seeds, agricultural techniques, new agricultural techniques, precision agriculture, and also
technology transfer.
Yes, but also startups associated with space economy, because based on satellite information, you also can develop models to anticipate these weather events and prepare the agriculture sector to extreme weather events with more anticipation and with more precision. So it's just one example, but there are other examples.
Definitely, sir. Actually, because worldwide these two countries are doing, and maybe definitely going to do much more contribution in the years to come. Our Indian businessmen, like a SME specifically, if we can talk about, as you rightly said, the big giant company like Mahindra, Hero Corp, and many Bajaj, and many more are coming. Apart from that, also in many sectors, actually, there are huge potential. What we can see, for example, the education sector, IT sector is definitely prominent. Textile is one of the very important because Indians will prefer to come there, and not just Brazil, but maybe they can look after the Latin American market, the surrounding countries like the Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay. These are the potential markets for them. So in that scenario, how Brazil government, sir, will support for the Indian SMEs, those who are keen to come there and establish for this maybe service industry, maybe manufacturing hub there?
Well, let me tell first. Brazil has a ministry for specific ministry for small and medium enterprises. So the Brazilian government it identifies SMEs, as Indian government does, as a key to growth and to employment, because SMEs do create employment, right?
Yes.
So I think the first thing I would say is that the embassy, our embassy in Delhi, I'm sure Indian embassy in Brasilia, they are in their trade promotion sector, they focus much on SMEs, because the big companies they take care of themselves. They know what to do. We give them a lending help when it comes to organize meetings in the government, etc. But when it comes to talking to other business people, they know what they do. So we focus really on these enterprises who need a helping hand, support. And the second, Apex, which is the trade and investment promotion agency from Brazil, organizes events, a big event annually, which is the Brazil Investment Forum. But in this forum, it has events for small SMEs where people can talk and talk in the sense of finding matches, but also get the information regarding how to do business in Brazil. And also, this is at the federal level. And at the state level, we have specific policies from state governments to attract SMEs, and in general foreign companies. But it's a matter of getting the information, because we are open for business for SMEs, definitely.
Definitely, sir. What you said is very much right. The big fish always find their ways.
Yeah.
What is the need support is for the SMEs industries, because they have potential, they have huge potential, and those who are giving support to SMEs, those countries definitely grow fast.
Yes.
Because ultimately, even the big giant companies always depend on the SMEs. And when SMEs are thinking to come to Brazil from the Indian side, as we are in touch, as you know, the Global India Business Forum work mainly with the SMEs of India, various part of India. And they have many questions in their mind, what kind of support maybe government will extend, and specifically then what kind of facilities, maybe some tax benefit. So will you please throw some light on about that particular area where actually they can get the information of all these
Yes,
facilities?
I think it can get information in the embassy. Also, if they can participate, as I mentioned, these Apex events, which that bring together SMEs, large companies, but also SMEs, and also to get specific information. We are here to help, because each Brazil is a federal state. So at the state level, we have specific incentives. For example, I'm not going to mention specific state, because then I should mention 27 states. So I'm just saying, for example, I have in mind one specific state in Brazil that has a policy of giving land and tax exemption for a number of years for SMEs to come there. Yes, and so you have to consult specifically in what state you would like to establish yourself in Brazil. Each state has a policy to attract, which of course has to blend with the federal level regulations. I think we can compare with India. You have the union level regulations and incentives, and you also have here the state levels, and you have to understand how they blend to take full advantage of all these incentives. It's the same in Brazil. in this case. And just one more information. Brazil, this is a for medium-term perspective. Brazil has also made a big tax reform, as you have done, I think, in 2019, perhaps. Okay. Yes, your GST reform. We have done
in the 2017 they started.
Yes, and the historical reform, which will really make Brazil an attractive export platform, regional export platform. I won't enter into the details of how this is going to happen, but just to say that this is a sea change in the sense of doing business in Brazil. I'm saying in the medium term because this tax reform will be phased in gradually in the coming 6 years, more or less, or more. But this is something, when you think about the long term, you have a long-term view, we should keep also this in mind when it comes to Brazil.
Right. So, friends, as Excellency has rightly said, this is almost a similar structure like India. This is the state and federal level. And as if somebody want to come to India and they want to establish some business, in that scenario, maybe those businessmen also study which are the best state, maybe Maharashtra, Gujarat, or who's the best state. And based on the ranking of maybe the government of India, what facilities. Similar way, the Brazil is also working in that country, so that you need to study each state also, and each state what facilities and where you think your future business will grow. So I think this is a definitely very important study need to be done by a businessman, those who come to the Brazil. So talking about the sectors actually. These sector specific, there are so many sectors, there are growing sectors, even in Brazil and Indian, there are so many sector wise businesses, there are upcoming business, new sectors also like AI is upcoming sector, and after COVID there are many more sectors in the service areas also. So which sectors are maybe our businessmen can prefer to if they want to come there? Those are upcoming sector, and you see in the next 5 years there's a huge potential for those sectors.
Well, first, you have already an important Indian presence in Brazil when it comes to business. You have UPL, you have Mahindra, you have TCS, you have Wipro. You have Sterlite and so on. So Indian companies are already there. Oh, pharma companies, of course. Many. They are there also. They export to Brazil, but they also have a presence there. So I think that, for example, pharma is given that Brazil by law has to provide universal health care. This is constitutionally mandated. Brazilian government is one of the largest procurers of medicines in the world, because we have a big population. True. And you have to provide universal health care. So this would be an important sector. I think renewable energy, I think partnerships in the field of ethanol, biomethane. Brazil, as you know, has a success story of introducing ethanol to its and in developing this so-called flex fuel motor. Yes. You are aware of that.
Where India is doing the same thing. Our Minister, Mr. Gadkari, is continuously talking about ethanol, use of ethanol. So the pollution control is there.
Yes. So this, in fact, this has been a subject of dialogue, bilateral dialogue. G2G, B2B, B2G in various formats for the last 2 or 3 years. My predecessor, as a matter of fact, started that from the Brazilian side, of course. And so we see this dialogue maturing, and definitely I think there is scope for more intra-industrial trade, cooperation in value chains in the field of mobility, automotive industry. Of course, the option for electrification is there, or Brazil also is resorting to this option. But the idea is that in the shortest term, ethanol is an answer to reduce CO2 emissions, and also it creates jobs in the agricultural field. Absolutely. Because we are countries with big agricultural sectors, and we need to think also to include people. When the country develops, we need to be more inclusive. People need to, in general, needs to benefit from that. So ethanol plays a multiple role when it comes to providing energy and providing for the environment, for the agricultural sector.
For Indian businessmen, those who are in the construction industry, the road construction, how it will be helpful for them, for the construction industry guys, those who want to come to Brazil for
Brazil,
infrastructure development.
Yes, Brazil has the Brazilian government has an infrastructure program. You know that Brazil has still to build infrastructure. It's a fifth largest country in the world. We still to have to build a more intense, not the word, not intense, a more dense framework of railways. We still to build that. We have here already a big experience in this field. We are also always, the Brazilian government is always promoting auctions, bids when it comes to energy transmission lines, because we're, again, a very big country, so we need transmission lines and also replacing old transmission lines with new ones. Yeah. So there are many...
road network, actually.
Yes.
The new road network. Yeah.
Yes. So we are a country where there are many opportunities in the area of infrastructure. Because of that, we need infrastructure. Sanitation, basic sanitation in Brazil is a sector which was, until 3 years ago, more or less, or 4 years ago, close to the private sector. Only the Brazilian government could do sanitation work, state companies. Now, not now, 4 years ago, there was a new law opening to the private sector. So there are big opportunities in basic
water
sanitation.
Treatment also?
Water treatment and sewage treatment.
Yeah.
You know that Brazil, in Brazil, I think, I don't want to give you a bad figure, but I would say that at least 40% of the Brazilian population still needs to have regular access to the sewage system and to the water system, more or less. Okay, it could be a little more or a little less.
Big number,
but it's a big number. Yeah. You see.
Definitely, sir. Actually, so much potential in various fields, and when any businessman think about to go any other country as a new investor, he always think about like the maybe benefits, tax benefit. Apart from that, the surrounding countries where he can do business. Like European Union, they have some treaties that maybe in the one country manufacturing plant is there, maybe they get the tax benefit in other European countries also. Similar way in the African Union also there are some countries, they already signed some treaties that these are the benefits the businessman can get. Do you want to tell us about businessman if they are in Brazil? As they are the nearest is the Latin America country, also maybe some Caribbean countries, some Central American countries like the Venezuela, Cuba, Guatemala and all. So can they get such kind of benefits? Is there any treaty of Latin American countries between those countries?
Yes. Now we have Mercosur, which is a trade bloc modeled to a considerable extent on the European Union example, which is the Mercosur, which has now 5 members because Bolivia has acceded to Mercosur. So you have Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, and now Bolivia. So it's a economic area.
Okay, yeah.
It's not just a free trade area. It's a deep economic integration area. Also, we have a free trade agreement with Chile. We have been negotiating a free trade agreement with Mexico. I don't know at what point in time how advanced the outlook of concluding this agreement is. I don't know exactly, but it's being negotiated. So I would say that when you come to Brazil, you are also coming to South America.
Yes.
You see, to do business. I would say that.
Definitely, sir, and these things really matters when anybody going to do any other continent, I can say, and want to flourish.
Yeah.
If you a Brazilian businessman, sir, want to come here, there are many of those who came for the Indian market also. So what kind of, sir, support you are expecting from the Indian government also and from the organization like GIBF also? How can we extend support for those businessmen, those who are coming here?
Well, based on my 14 months experience with these 47 missions, I should say that Indian government has been very forthcoming, because these missions, most of them were led by high-level officials at the state level or at the federal level, and it was not difficult to organize meetings in the Indian government. There is always this disposition to receive Brazilian delegations. So I think that it's already being done, in the sense that the Indian government has been really offering time to explain, to describe what are the advantages of establishing business here. So I think this is faring very well. And when it comes to platforms of business, I think these are like yours, your GIBF. I don't want to make a mistake. I think it's a very valuable platforms, because it's about taking advantage, in the case of Brazil, of this critical mass of people coming here and really willing to do business. Because when you come from a distant country and you make a decision to come here, it's because you want to do something.
True.
Yeah, almost a 2-day travel to reach India and 2-day travel to go back to Brazil. So, and if you have a 3-day meeting, so you have to block 10 days in on your agenda. Being a businessman, you know what it takes.
You can't afford, yeah.
So if people are affording to come here, this means that they want to do business, and your platform, I think it's a valuable locus to promote that.
Yes, definitely, sir. Based on this guideline, Global India Business Forum for last 10 years and specifically for last 2 years, after COVID, we started focusing on the Latin American, Central American countries, because our observation was that many Indian businessmen was not aware fully about what exactly the opportunities in Latin America. Maybe because of distance also, maybe some flights not available for many countries. But when we started promoting each country separately, and that's why we started opening the one councils also for each country, like India Peru Business and Cultural Council, India Chile Business and Cultural Council. Similar way, the India Brazil Business and Cultural Council, because culture and business always go hand in hand. And last year, sir, for the same reason, we arranged the first big India Latin America Business Conclave in Pune, and it was a huge success. There are more than 650 businessmen were present, and from Latin America side, there are a lot of High Commissioner, ambassadors who were present. Some trade attaches also there. And this year also, we are planning the same in the month of March in Hyderabad, which is the down south, and we are expecting definitely Brazil is the most prominent country. Your presence will be highly appreciated for this platform, sir.
Thank you for this invitation. Yes.
Yeah, and actually, lastly, I just want to know, sir, as we are going ahead, the India-Brazil relationship is taking a new turn after COVID. What exactly the future prospect you see as a Brazilian ambassador in India for the next 5 years down the line?
I would say that on the basis of these 47 missions and also visits by high-level officials, which have been seen in these last 14 months, I would say there are three areas where I see clear prospect for not only for doing business, but also for giving more technological and economic content to our strategic partnership. Because when you talk about a strategic partnership, it is more than economic relations. The idea that the two countries share visions, common values for the world, and they want to help each other in ensuring a good standing of both countries in the world. So it's about business, but it's also about a political vision for the relation. So I would say, answering to your question, these three areas stand out. It's energy, defense, and agriculture.
Great.
Clearly.
And so thank you so much for your time, and we discussed in a short time we tried to discuss so many points.
Yes, that's correct.
Lastly, just I want your good comment. What do you think the support from our Prime Minister, which is now the global leader, is very actively supporting many countries, even in COVID. Mr. Modi was instrumental to send vaccine to many those
Including
countries.
to Brazil. We are very thankful for that. We will never forget that, by the way.
Thank you so much. And even Mr. Jaishankar, who is our foreign minister, so these two guys has definitely making us proud. So your comment lastly on those support and the future relationship with the good leadership of Brazilian senior people from the politics background and our guys also. What your last comment about this?
My last comment is that I think that this comment says a lot. India lent a very important support to Brazil throughout our G20 presidency, including, of course, in negotiating the Leaders Summit Declaration, which is it's a very complex negotiation given the geopolitical world we are living these days. And I think the level of support India gave to Brazil, I would say that wrote a new chapter of our bilateral relations, characterized, as I said at the outset, by mutual trust. So this says a lot, I think, the kind of support you lent us during the G20 presidency. Okay.
So friends, here we are with the Excellency Ambassador of Brazil in India, and we discussed a lot of things about the new startups, the businessmen, the stable businessmen, those who want to go and explore the new opportunity Brazil, vice versa, the Brazil businessmen, those who want to come to India, the support extended by Indian government and organization like GIBF. And I think the G20 was another good benchmark. Well, last year India was the chairman of G20, and this year Brazil is heading that chairmanship, and both leadership are doing so good, so that India, Brazil population and the future businessmen will definitely helpful, but not just India, Brazil, but with this relationship, bilateral relation, the globe will also getting benefit out of it.
Of course.
And we are looking forward for the great future for both the countries and for the globe. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Nice
Bye-bye.